Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Mrs. Potts and welcome to Digital Potts UK. So what I wanted to do in my first video is I want to share the story behind this channel and explain why I moved from cash stuffing to digital stuffing. I'll be talking about the reasons for the change, some of the concerns I had when moving away from physical cash stuffing, and how I worked to make my digital era just as fun, motivating and exciting as my cash stuffing era. So go grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get started. So for years, I was really involved in physical cash stuffing. I loved it. I had all the binders, I had the sleeves, the trackers, the envelopes, you name it, I had it. I loved going to the cash machine, withdrawing my budget for the week and just physically moving and handling the money around. It was really satisfying and I loved counting it. I loved moving it between envelopes and binders and just ticking off those saving challenges as I worked through my goals. I was obsessed with it. I had a routine. I loved the routine that came with it, and every pound had its purpose. And the process really made me think about money and finances. It held me accountable for where my money was going. And for me, it wasn't just about saving money. It was about being intentional with my spending and becoming more aware of the choices I was making every single day. So over time, cash stuffing became a habit that I loved, and it genuinely helped me to improve my relationship with money. So you're probably thinking now, well, you loved it. Why did you not do it? Okay, so there is a reason why I didn't carry on with it. Whilst I enjoyed cash stuffing, I was finding it increasingly difficult to keep up with the routine, and I really liked having the routine. Couple of things for me. Now, I want to just say right now, it's not for everyone. Not everyone has these problems, but for me, these were personal problems that really had a barrier for me to be able to use cash stuffing effectively. So first of all, I don't live in a city. I live on the outskirts of a city. I work full time, so I work Monday to Friday, and I don't drive. So getting physical cash, wasn't always straightforward. Sometimes when I could get to the cash machine before I went for my weekly food shop, the cash machine couldn't dispense cash at all. And at other times, it would only give me £20 notes. So for any of you that have done cash stuffing, that would mean that either I would have to use my card for food shopping or purchases, or have to go home and reorganise my binders and my envelopes to try and get those allocations to work. So £5 for this pocket, 10 for here, etc., etc. So it was all a little bit of a headache. Then there was the other side of the process. So if I was able to stuff my cash into my envelopes or into my folders, once I'd finished stuffing my cash and reached my amount, I would need to go and then put it in the bank. My local bank is in the city. So that meant either me paying for the bus to go into the city or asking Mr. Potts to drive me there, which meant parking. So neither option was particularly convenient, and it really did cost time and money. So I tried for months to make this work because I genuinely loved cash stuffing. But over time, I really started to become frustrated, annoyed, and if I'm honest, really disheartened by the cash stuffing process. And what I was noticing is that the world around me is becoming more and more digital, with contactless, with using cards, with tills without supermarket workers. And however we feel about that, I just realised that actually I was using my bank card far more often than cash. And I had this big moment, well, probably small, but to me it was big, that I was at the petrol station and I had actually taken out the cash to pay for Mr. Potts's petrol. And I went to go pay it in the supermarket shop, and I got my wallet out of my bag, and they told me they weren't accepting cash payments. It was genuinely that moment I remember standing there and thinking, why am I making this difficult for myself? And really the reality was that the fun was disappearing. The system that I loved, and I'm sure some of you still love, and I'm not bashing cash stuffing at all. It's great, it's brilliant. But for me, the system I love was becoming harder and harder to maintain. And so for me, I knew something needed to change. So what I did is I initially gave up. I packed away my binders, I packed away my challenges and all of my cash stuffing supplies that I had bought, and just put them in the loft, and they are still in the loft today. And I just went back to managing my money the way I had before cash stuffing. I was using my card for everything. I was living month to month. I was paying bills when they were due. And I was just putting any spare money. I was like, oh, it's a little bit of money there. I'll put it into our savings account. Then one day, Mr. Potts told me about a bank account that he'd seen that had space features, these spaces. And he kind of had a chat with me saying that you could create separate spaces for different goals, different savings, and personalise them. Now, at the time, I did roll my eyes, had a little gumble about cash stuffing, and I'm not doing that again. And he just smirked at me, and I promptly forgotten what it was all about. He then mentioned it a few more times and thought it would be really good for me, knowing that I was still quite frustrated. I hadn't itched the itch of the habit that I have from cash stuffing, and I really did miss it. So in the end, I did eventually decide to give it a try, and I opened up this bank account for free, and I created a few spaces, or what I like to call them as pots, and started transferring money across. When I started it wasn't as exciting as cash stuffing. There was no tangible envelopes, there were no binders, no counting notes at the kitchen table. And if I'm honest, and this YouTube channel and my videos are all about being honest, it felt rather boring. And I was just like, okay, well, it's doing its job. And the purpose was still there. So over time, I got back in the habit of budgeting, and I became more conscious of my spending habits again. I was actively challenging what I was using my money for, and my pots started growing. And my goals felt a little more achievable, and I could actually see the benefits of having money separated for different purposes again, something that I really missed from my cash stuffing days. So I was building up my money, it was slowly getting there, and then life happened. We had a major expense, kind of planned, and it ended up eating a large proportion of our savings, huge, massive. So suddenly I found myself starting from scratch again. If it wasn't for those spaces, I think I really wouldn't have been able to kind of get through that point, but it's gone, wiped out, absolutely empty. So it was then I realised that I was missing the process. I didn't just miss the money that cash saving gave me, I missed the process. So whilst I was saving money, it wasn't kind of giving me that thrill, and I wasn't saving as much as I did previously with cash stuffing. We had just enough for this massive thing, but I missed the process. I missed the excitement of colouring in trackers. I missed the excitement of completing challenges, reaching milestones, and visually being able to see my process and not just in those spaces. I missed the motivation that cash stuffing gave me. And so I reflected that if I still had cash stuffing and those trackers and those challenges and that motivation, that actually I would have had enough saved and some for that big event that happened. And that got me thinking, I need to create my own solution. What is going to work for me? So what I decided to do is I decided to make my own digital planner about what I needed, not commercialized, just what I needed. I made some saving trackers that would help me and my goals, some challenges that would help me work forward, and just some progress sheets that would give me the same sense of achievement and joy I had during my cash stuffing days. So instead of stuffing envelopes, I'm now stuffing pots. Instead of physical cash, I'm now moving the money digitally, instantly. So whilst the tangible element of cash stuffing and stuffing envelopes isn't there, I still personally gain the motivation and excitement like I did back when I was cash stuffing. I then decided that I would start this YouTube channel to see if anyone else is thinking about moving away from cash stuffing or want a realistic journey of saving in a time where financially it's very difficult. And that's how Digital Pots UK was born. I am going to document my journey, warts and all, tiny saves, slightly bigger saves. I'll share my digital pot stuffing, my saving goals, my challenges, any debt repayment processes, and everything that I learned about myself, my money, and the process along the way. So if you're someone who loves the idea of cash stuffing, and that's great, because cash stuffing is great, but you're also recognize that you're living in an increasingly digital world, then I'm hoping that maybe you might find some inspiration here too. So I just wanted to make this video just to kind of give you a little overview of who I am, why I'm here, and I'm not selling anything. I've got no Etsy store. So please do just have a look, and I hope you enjoy my videos. Take care, everyone.